In this video, we are going to look at valid and invalid argument forms. So far, we have the following valid argument forms. We have modus ponens, which starts with P implies Q and P implies Q. And we have modus tollens, which starts P implies Q and not Q implies not P. We have the disjunctive syllogism, P or Q and not P implies Q. And reasoning by transitivity, P implies Q and Q implies R implies P implies R. We also have two invalid invalid forms. We have the fallacy of the converse, which says that P implies Q and Q implies P, which is false. And we have the fallacy of the inverse, which says that P implies Q and not P implies not Q. This is also false. Now we're going to look at putting some of these together. So let's say Eddie goes to town, and if Eddie goes to town, then Mabel stays at home. If Mabel stays at home, then Rita will cook. Rita will not cook, therefore Eddie does not go to town. So our solution, we start with our three premises. P is Eddie goes to town, Q is Mabel stays at home, and R is Rita will cook. Our argument takes this form. P implies Q, and Q implies R, and not R implies P. So we have three premises and a conclusion. And this is what our final statement looks like. P implies Q and Q implies R, and not R implies not P. So let's take a look at our table. Again, it's a longish table. It's got 8 lines and a whole bunch of stuff going on here. But what it comes down to is we're checking each of these statements here. We've got our first statement, P implies Q. Well, that's true, true, false, false, true, 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 true. We've got our second statement here, true, false, true, 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 false, true, true. And our not R statement is just false, true, false, true, false, true, false, true. Well, then we check the and of these three. It's always false unless everything is false. Well, then we look at not P. It's false for the first 4. It's false if P is true and true if P is false. So our conclusion, our final argument, is just as, well, first off, if this is false, then this is true. And if both of these are true, then this is true. Well, the only place where there's a concern is down here where this is true, and this is also true. So this is a valid argument. This is slightly different from the problem in the book, but it's close enough that I think it gets the point across. What we're doing here is we're combining a couple of different arguments into one argument that is true. We use, for the first 2 statements, we have P implies Q and Q implies R. Well, that's our reasoning by transitivity, because this would tell us that P implies R. But then we're given not R. If we have not R, then by modus tollens, we have not P. Because P implies R and not R means not P.